The honourable, the honourable member for Halifax Needham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I will not speak long on the Financial Measures Act, but I'm very aware of my own silence in the last couple of weeks, having pledged to speak about climate change in this legislature. I got tired. And I kind of lost, maybe lost my hope a little bit as we got into budget debate and as I participated in budget estimates with the Minister of Environment and with the Minister of Energy. And so I stopped talking about climate change in this House, but it's our last day of this session, so I'm going to do it again just a little bit. And I'm going to sort of share a story from my personal household, which I have been thinking about in relation to this chamber. I've been probably predisposed to be concerned about the environment for a very long time. When I was, I think maybe in grade 8 or 9, my father gave me his book, Limits to Growth, and I wrote some essay based on it. And then I did some sort of science essay for which I won a prize in grade 10, right around the time that the ozone layer crisis was upon us. And so that's been sort of, it's pretty core to who I am and how I think about the world. And it's not something I share with my partner, with whom I share many wonderful things, including 2 children. And so it's a source of tension in our household, I would say, because I am taking the bus every day, and I am occasionally riding my bicycle, and very, very occasionally driving our car, and more often the odd time using CarShare Atlantic when I need to. But he really likes to go to the gym, and the gym is not that close to where he works, and so he drives the car most days, and he often has a good excuse that he has to pick up our kids somewhere or get them to something. But even when he doesn't have that excuse, he still drives the car so he can go to the gym. And so sometimes I get to feeling like anything I do and everything I do is already futile before it even leaves my household. It's all like canceled out. And that's how I feel oftentimes being a part of this chamber and in this government, participating in some fashion as a member of the opposition in the government of Nova Scotia. Because while I aspire to ride my bike and take the bus, the Premier is off to China with the Deputy Minister of Municipal Affairs, and I don't know how many other government officials, because that's our future, and that's the economic model that certainly we hear about from this government almost ad nauseum. It's all about export. And it's not even about export of talent through animation or film. It's not about export of wisdom through, the sorts of things that can be shared via webcams and the internet. It's actually about putting stuff on planes, and therefore we have to be expanding cargo capacity at the airport. And of course, that is absolutely heading in a very different direction from where we know biologically and scientifically we have to be heading. So while it might be a path for the next 5 years, maybe, it's actually kind of, in my view, it's irresponsible to be pointing us off in that direction at precisely the moment that we know that we actually have to be aiming for a circular economy, for a low-carbon economy. And there is no future technology coming that is going to make it possible to continue down the path that this government has placed us on, where it is sustainable. And it's funny, as I shared the other day, as my daughter is getting older and becoming more aware. A couple weeks ago, she wrote an essay about pollution and reducing pollution, and she entered a speaking contest and she won, and so I'm going with her next week to see her speak about reducing pollution, and she's talking about greenhouse gas emissions, and she's talking about plastic. And I got home from the chamber one night, and she performed this, practiced it for me the day before she was going to be speaking about it at school. And I almost lost it. I almost lost it because I feel like for most of my lifetime, I've been feeling like I'm a little bit out on the margins of the political discourse of my time. Sort of not, like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe actually the way things are going are fine. Maybe everything I'm worried about is not actually cause for worry. And I think that is actually the story that particularly Liberal governments like to tell us, that actually the way it is, it's good. We're good, we got this. And increasingly we're seeing that is not true. That is not true. There is actually not a way forward that does not require bravery, change, and the sort of impulsive generosity which frankly was really evident in the debate about the last bill. We need to be generous because part of moving forward into the era of really confronting climate change is really grappling actually with what we need, and what everybody deserves. And what everybody deserves is a sense of connection, a place to call home, an ability to take care of their families. That's what people need. And people need that here, and people need it in Mozambique. And as we move forward, we have to be thinking as leaders and as governments, about how we work to achieving that for everyone. And that's what I don't see in this budget. I don't see it in this budget. When we're still spending a couple of $1 million trying to convince oil and gas companies to explore on our beautiful ocean, and we're still building infrastructure for the economy that we know is unsustainably carbon intensive, and also when we're not taking care of ensuring that Nova Scotians here today are able to meet their most basic needs. I think we haven't made the adjustment that we need to make. So that is the reason that I will be voting against this budget. Thank you.